They don't understand what they're rejecting.
Are you hiding Jews in your attic? So recently, Jordan Peterson debated a round of atheists on Jubilee, and I want to make a few important points. The first order of business is basic combinatorics. Who counted how many atheists there are in the circle? At first, Jordan said 25, but the video title says 20. Which is it? It's actually neither. Let's count.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21.
How you doing?
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Here, Jordan Peterson is debating Parker on the claim that morality and purpose cannot be found within science.
It's the presupposition of your attention and your action.
They start talking about belief. I want to discuss the Nazi-Jew paradox that was brought up in the discussion. But first, I want to suggest really thinking deeply about what Jordan says belief is. It's the presupposition of your attention and actions. Try to think about what you do subconsciously.
It is the case that this pen exists, but if someone threatened my life.
Then Parker brings up the issue of justified lying to challenge, well, I'm not exactly sure what he brings up, except to perhaps try to prove Jordan is wrong at something.
Right, I would lie in order to be able to save my life, right? I think you would do that too. You wouldn't lie to save your life?
Don't be so sure.
You wouldn't lie to save your life?
How much do you know about me? I didn't lie to save my career. I didn't lie to save my clinical practice.
Would you lie to save your children, your mom, your dad?
I don't think lying would save them.
No, can there ever be a circumstance logically that lying could save someone?
Yeah, and if you're steeped in sin, you're likely to live in circumstances like that.
However, let us think about the best case scenario where the issue of lying about something is true is meant to challenge Jordan's definition of belief as something you live for and something you die for. Some people just love attempting to find artificial counterexamples to prove someone wrong so they can win an argument. I will discuss why these counterexamples are artificial. And here's where we get into the Nazi-Jew paradox or dilemma.
I'll give you an example. If you're in Nazi Germany and it is the case that there's Jewish people in your attic and you're trying to protect them,
example.
Would you lie to the Nazis?
I would have done everything I bloody well could so I wouldn't be in that situation to begin with. It's a hypothetical and it's not answerable.
Hypotheticals?
No, I can't answer a hypothetical like that because
Did you
it's
eat today?
fun.
I want to read the resolution to this hypothetical from the book Learning Isn't Linear, Chapter 6 on Logic and Debate. Although the resolution truly comes from Jesus in the Gospel of Matthew, as we will see.
This is the Nazi-Jew lying paradox. Nazi, are you hiding Jews in the household? Me, no. If you were hiding Jews in the household, would your response to the Nazi's question be considered a lie? The paradox or dilemma comes about because we don't want to lie, but at the same time, we don't want to give any Jews over to the Nazis either. And it would seem the latter takes precedence. What is the resolution? The answer is that the externally verbalized question of the Nazis is not the true question they have asked internally. In their heart is truly the question, will you cooperate with me in murdering the Jewish people? Or will you tell me where they are hiding so we can kill them? Once this is understood, your response of no is not a lie. It is a true statement because you are answering the real underlying question of the Nazi, which was mass, a facade, by a watered-down question, though in practice the dilemma is more about the courage to say no. Jesus mentions the heart of this issue in Matthew chapter 9 verse 4. Knowing their thoughts, Jesus said, "Why do you entertain evil thoughts in your hearts?"
I really hate questions with false presuppositions embedded in them. It's like, well, if 2 equals 1, then what? It doesn't matter what follows, because 2 never equals 1 in the field of real numbers under the binary operations of addition and multiplication.
False narrative. This logical fallacy is asking a question starting from false premises. The problem is that the right answer to a wrong question is still wrong, as Michael Ramson has said. A good example comes from the New Testament in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 22, verses 15 through 22. The false narrative that the Pharisees paint is that one can only either pay taxes to Caesar and not serve God, or not pay taxes to Caesar and serve God. It is false that these are the only two options, as Jesus replies, One can pay taxes to Caesar and serve God at the same time. They are not mutually exclusive.
The next issue I want to discuss is that of the claim, everybody worships something, even atheists. This proposition is true.
Nice
What's
to
your
meet you.
name?
Gerard.
Hello, Gerard.
Nice to meet you, sir. So you've said that worship is when you prioritize and sacrifice for something, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
There's a hierarchy in there.
Sure. So I prioritize and sacrifice for my wife more than I would prioritize and sacrifice for a random person on the street.
What is your attention drawn to? Pay attention what you pay attention to.
Even in your trivial acts of attention, you're prioritizing and partaking in worship, even if you don't know it.
What is at the forefront of your mind? And then ask why several more times to travel up the steps of the hierarchy to what you ultimately consider of the highest value.
Over
See,
any
you're
other
making
human, but I
the
don't
assumption.
think that she is some
You're making the
supernatural being.
assumption that only the thing at the top or the bottom has anything to do with worship. And I'm saying that's not true.
These claims tick many of the atheists off because for any person, no one likes to be told what to think. More specifically, no one likes to have the inner being of their thoughts intruded upon. People do not like to be known. What? You think you know me? People are scared of genuine intimacy. Yes, it is true. There is a continuum to worship. In Ed Welch's book, When People Are Big and God is Small, there's a diagram on the continuum of fear, ranging from terrified at the far left to worship, awe, and trust at the far right.
It is possible I don't worship anything then, right?
It's not possible that you don't worship anything.
What do I worship?
Ultimately, there are only two choices. One, either you worship the one true God of the Bible, or you worship yourself.
Something you worship is something that you have a reverential view for in a manner in which you believe it to be above and beyond normal things you like.
Even if you worship money, movie stars, or food, if you look deeper, ultimately you are worshiping yourself. Here's the tipping point. You ultimately see your own reflection in any of the objects that you worship. It is all about you. If you worship food, it is really about your own desire for pleasure. If you worship money, it is really about your own desire for power or the pleasure you get from buying many things. If you worship movie stars, it is really about your own desire to be famous.
I'm seeking to know whether I worship something. You've claimed I worship something, and I want to know.
If you want to have a deep and meaningful life, then you have to go all the way to the bottom or the top. And insofar as you're capable of doing that, because otherwise you'll be fragmented and miserable and anxiety-ridden and hopeless.
So I have to worship something to have a meaningful life. And if I
There's
worship
no difference between those two things.
Okay.
They're the same thing.
So if I don't worship it,
Everybody is their own biggest idol, unless their gaze, their attention is fixed upon Jesus, who made the ultimate sacrifice for us. Thanks for listening. Be sure to leave any comments you have, like, subscribe. See you next time.